To all the photographers with YouTube channels who have all given that same, dare I say, generic advice, I'm sorry I didn't listen. And once I did listen, I got better results. But something else happened. I went down this weird path. Somehow this photography, videography, and yes, even filmmaking trip to Switzerland led me to an existential crisis, creative and otherwise, with a tremendous sense of time slipping away from me and uncertainty about the path I want or need to take, but one thing at a time. So I just got back from my 4th trip to Switzerland, and a last-minute trip at that, seeing as it was planned only about a month out. I've always been super fortunate and extremely grateful for the opportunity to travel. A handful of times when I was young, then in my 20s and 30s in a band, and now with my photography, videography, and filmmaking production company. It's something I honestly never take for granted, but for the few weeks leading up to this trip, I had no idea what I wanted to capture. And that's totally fine to just freestyle and take it as it comes. Not every trip needs to be scripted and planned perfectly. I mean, we knew where we were going and we planned some of our hikes, but in terms of what I wanted to actually capture, that was open-ended. Should I do a vlog, a wildlife video, a silent hiking video, practice natural light, outdoor environmental cinematography, or just take photos of us, wildlife, landscapes, etc., and so on. And I always maintain that although yes, I photograph landscapes when I travel, I do not in any way consider myself a great landscape photographer. But I do appreciate landscape photographers and what they do. On the flip side of all that uncertainty in terms of what I wanted to capture, that open-endedness, my goal-oriented mind felt like it was failing when the trip actually began. I want to have a crystallized vision for trips, passion projects, client work, and everything and anything in between. But sometimes, with all the aforementioned uncertainty, fear of not capturing something great, and second-guessing my own vision and ability to see the world in my unique way through the lens, the lessons learned from those things, those unknowns, are just as valuable as any final polished visual product, whatever that might be. So what I learned on this trip, both creatively and dare I say philosophically, was 10 times more valuable than any award-winning photograph or viral video or any of that crap. First things first, the technical. I packed simple and only brought 3 lenses with me, and that was the right move. I also only brought one camera body, the A7R5, because I've never not been able to switch back and forth on a trip and capture all of my video and photos on a hybrid, as opposed to bringing 2 camera bodies. As far as lenses, I brought the 24-70 G Master version 2, the 70-200 G Master version 2, and a Sigma 150-600 Sport for wildlife stuff. I did not carry all 3 lenses on every hike with me though. I tried to do my research beforehand, especially with whether or not to bring the 150-600 on longer hikes, since that thing is a tank and has some weight to it. Not impressed. All that said, the Swiss Alps, I mean, there's not much I can say. If you've been there, you know. If not, try and go. It's insane there. In the summer, you have high 80-degree days, t-shirt and shorts weather with glaciers and snow-capped peaks quite literally looming right over your head. We actually saw an avalanche one day, which was pretty crazy. Crazier hearing it than seeing it, actually. But with all that in mind, for some reason, despite the grandeur of this place, I struggled mightily with getting any interesting compositions, photo or video. I couldn't lock into anything, in my mind, good. I was constantly indecisive on which lens to use, the 24-70 or 70-200, which one to keep the variable ND on for video, and which lens to take photos with. And I actually like taking landscape shots with the 70-200, but it didn't feel like anything was working there either. The landscapes felt flat, like a snapshot you could take with your phone. So my first solution to all of those problems was to leave the variable ND on one lens, just dedicate one lens to video, and the other to photos. That started to yield slightly better results, so I took it a step further. I eventually just stopped shooting video between like 11 a.m. and 4 p.m. And once I stopped trying to get video in that midday, uninteresting, harsh light, I started to have a bit more success with my photography too. And yes, I realize that same midday light isn't necessarily the most appealing for photography either, but at least it simplified my process. I mean, I had to just pick one. Then I took it a step even further, grabbing only one lens, the 24-70, 70-200, or even the 150-600, and just hiking with only that lens. Again, simplifying the process started to yield some results. The choice paralysis wasn't as much of an issue. So that's where that generic photography advice of just take one lens out to shoot that I have heard time and time again really did help me. Now, I've been noticing something else happening lately, and I caught myself doing it on this trip and swore right then and there that it needed to stop. It's kind of a mix of laziness and over-reliance on the camera and editing technology, the age-old trap of fix it and post, as it were. Now, I'm not a big cropper. I like to get compositions as close as I can in camera. So if or when I crop, it's usually just to ever so slightly straighten a horizon line if I missed it. But in this case, I found myself not taking the extra step, quite literally, to just get a rope out of frame. I convinced myself I could use blemish remover, which I 100% can, but my God, is that just a bad habit. It's pure laziness, so it's something that after I caught myself doing it, I was immediately more attentive of it, and thankfully just didn't do it again. I don't know why in that specific scenario it was like this aha moment, but it was. So whether it's a landscape or portrait or sports action shot or whatever, it was a good wake-up call to literally get back to my roots. Because funny enough, I feel like I would have naturally and intentionally avoided this mistake 10 years ago with my Canon T5i. Another small thing that helped me snap out of my funk on this trip was just practicing something different, in this case, time lapses. I haven't shot a ton before, probably less than 5 ever actually. I for sure always shot them in the wrong way too, just like shooting a long ass video clip and then speeding it up. I mean, I wasn't shooting day and night stuff, so in a way, yes, the wrong way, I could have probably gotten away with either method, but I acknowledge the right way is obviously using the interval shooting and photos for a time lapse. It was fun though to finally practice it the real way. So I guess having a new technique to experiment with and work on kind of recentered me too. This is definitely something I want to keep doing and playing with the proper shutter speeds and intervals and all that. Now, with all the kind of more technical stuff out of the way, to get a little bit more deep, on a bit more of a philosophical level, I think part of my initial aforementioned creative uncertainty, existential crises, sensory overload, and just general confusion originates from the mountains themselves. I know that sounds super woo-woo, so bear with me. What I mean is, when I am in a place as grand, as majestic as, say, the Swiss Alps, I get overwhelmed without realizing it. It's like drinking from the fire hose. It follows this kind of wave where I initially take it all in and I'm impressed by everything and inspired and moved and riding high. Then I kind of have this weird creative or even emotional crash. Almost like I'm homesick but in a different way. I don't know how to explain it. I almost feel out of place. It doesn't happen every trip. Like, it didn't happen when I went to Scotland or Italy a couple years ago, but then it happened in Glacier National Park, and even on a small trip to Vermont. Then it didn't happen in Acadia National Park in Maine, but then it happened this time in Switzerland on my 4th time back, no less, while it didn't happen my last time in Switzerland. I don't know exactly what it is or even how to explain it, but I can speculate. So I believe 2 things to be true. One is, if you live somewhere like me, say a small or smallish town, where the furthest you can see out into the horizon is maybe a long stretch of straight road and a couple hills, that's kind of your world. Like, it's right there and you can see it all. Actually, most of the time you can only see as far as a bunch of trees or other houses or buildings allow you to. So when you're somewhere as vast and as expansive as these titanic mountain ranges, I think the perspective shift kind of messes with your mind at first. Yes, you get used to it, but it takes time to sink in. I know this probably all sounds dumb, but the second thing I really think, at least for me, that happens when I'm in the mountains is I'm confronted by a different concept of time than I usually am. Or I'm forced to think about time differently. Again, living in a small town, it's like, okay, this house was built in 1955, that big tree might be 100 years old, these roads in the town itself was established in 1926 or whatever, random examples, but you get my point. But when you see glaciers and snow-capped mountains, it's like, yo, this landscape has looked like this for longer than your tiny, stupid brain can even conceptualize. So I think it's hard to look at and not be forced to accept your impermanence, or dare I say insignificance. I think I know how and why this relates all the way back to the beginning, to my creative trajectory, to the short time I have here, to what I want or need or dare I say am called to do. There's so many platitudes and cliches focused on one thing at a time and the present moment and such. But how easy is it to really stop? I mean, really just stop whatever the hell it is you're doing and say, I'm in this moment right here, right now, and that's all that matters. So when I was sitting there with my coffee on our porch every morning at this awesome Airbnb in the Swiss Alps with the Eiger and Munch and Jungfrau staring back at me, in the midst of my creative uncertainty, quasi-homesickness, existential dread, and sensory overload, I managed to somehow pull out an appreciation of the present moment that grounded me. And it happened without the camera, which was an added bonus, and made me appreciate even more what I'm able to do with the camera, which is, at least try, to eke out an honest living artistically. And as I sat there, focused on what I wasn't capturing so far in the trip, thinking about what I should be doing better with my camera, struggling with imposter syndrome, pondering where I think I want my creative path to take me, worried about how I can evolve from paying the bills to actually calling this career a well-paying vocation, perhaps even using it for some good in a way that is as of yet unknown to me and outside of my grasp, I put my camera down and just stared at the mountain and breathed it all in. Then I actually got goosebumps. Like the air smelled different. I could see, really see. I honest to God felt my senses kind of lock into a higher level momentarily. I felt the present moment as real as I can feel this chair beneath me. It was awesome. I mean, I'm 11 years clean and sober from drugs and alcohol, and these moments, which I experience once every blue moon, are the closest I can get to a psychedelic experience. So, is there a moral to this story? I don't know. Am I turning this into some half-cocked philosophical lesson and trying to teach others how to live or experience the present moment? Good God, I hope not. I'm just acknowledging what was there, how it felt, where I've been, where I could maybe go. I don't know. And I guess it comes down to accountability too. Like, I wanted to just riff on this, get down in front of the camera and talk about it, hold myself accountable through this, I can't believe I'm saying it, YouTube journey. I mean, as of right now, with my jaw-dropping 455 subscribers, I don't really have a clue what this is, save for a way to document my journey. Shit, I made a low and no budget filmmaking video that, for my small channel, blew up and got me hundreds of subscribers, thousands of views. Smart Money says after that I should have just kept making videos like that, and I would respond,
yeah, maybe. Yeah, but at least I won't be unoriginal. But I mean, if you have a problem like that, I mean, we could just step outside, we could figure it out.
But I have to do this my way. I have to acknowledge that I'm an aspiring filmmaker, and a filmmaker too, I suppose, as I have made some films, but I don't want to just make videos about making films and not make the films, but only make the videos about making the films, if that makes sense. I like a lot of different things too, so I'm gonna think about, write about, talk about, and make videos about a bunch of different things. Travel, nature, wildlife, conservation, filmmaking, sports, small business struggles, all of it. So yeah, shit's all bullshit anyway, who gives a shit? That's all I got. I mean, hope you can get out there and stare at a mountain and breathe it all in and keep on keeping on with your cameras anyway. I was up at like 4:15 this morning because I'm still jet lagged 3 days later and I'm tired right now and it's like 8 a.m. and I don't like recording this early, but whatever. Like, comment, subscribe, all that bullshit. I'll do another way, you know, all that, I don't